What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. My name is Jaymes Howell. I am your host. To my left, to my right, whatever direction he is to you guys, I don't really remember. That is my legendary co-host, Chase Riley. Chase, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing fantastic, man. How are you?
Oh, I cannot be better, man. How was your Christmas?
It was fantastic. It was a busy weekend. But it's always nice to get out and see family and be with family. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. I had a blast, was able to kind of spend some time with some different family. My mom's, went to my dad's, and of course, having Christmas at home with the Santa gifts and all that good jazz, man. It was a lot of fun, and man, it was just a lot of fun. I love Christmas. A
Yeah.
lot of people can be little Scrooges and whatnot. I used to be, but as I've gotten older and I've built up my family more and more and more, man, I love it. I love Christmas time. My bank account don't love it so much, but
I heard that.
Mama Bear, I seen you guys in the house with special guests. My daughters, Kira and Nevaeh. I love you girls so much. Thank you for joining us. Daniel Hibden, I see you too, buddy. As always, what's going on? Thanks for showing up to this legendary podcast. We appreciate you each and every week. Before we really get started, of course, we got to do the thing, where we make sure y'all follow and like. Hey, I set a goal last week. I said, let's get it up to 400 followers on my Facebook account. We got it up to 396. We were so close. 4 more. We need 4 more, and I need you guys to help me do it. Go ahead, smash that share button, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, whatever platform you're on. Make sure that you're following Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. You can find me on Facebook at Jaymes Howell 1, on Twitter at Jaymes Howell 1, YouTube, Jaymes Howell Sports. Make sure you hit that notification bell on YouTube. My buddy here, when he's not on this legendary podcast, he's an insurance agent. You need some insurance, go hit him up. He works for American Insurance or American Family Insurance. He also has his sports page at C. Riley Sports. Make sure you go follow him as well. He's on Twitter at C. Riley Sports, as well as on TikTok. And I have failed again to get the graphics for our TikToks. But it'll be there in due time. We both have our TikToks going.
Yeah.
So something I'm really excited to talk about. You see the new layout. If you joined us in the past, you know that it is a new background and everything. You see down beneath me, there is a new logo. It says SuperDraft Pro. We have partnered up. We have decided to partner up with SuperDraft Pro. And you can find the link in the description. Look, it's a fantasy gaming platform for like fantasy football, fantasy basketball, and baseball. It's got golf and NHL, whatever suits your fancy. You can find it on there. But it's a little different. It plays different compared to some of these other major gaming platforms, FanDuel, DraftKings, things like that. It plays a little different. And it's also subscription-based. So it's not really a gambling website. I've already went on there and I've got a free subscription right now. And I've played a couple games and I've won a couple games. Now I haven't won first, but I've won a little bit of money off of it. So I just want you guys, if you guys are into that, go check it out. Look, here's a video that we made to kind of explain it a little more.
These aren't just any kind of games. Play on SuperDraft, the official fantasy partner of Caesars. Compete in exciting fantasy sports and free sports betting contests by subscribing to a plan with SuperDraft Pro. Play for the love of the game and experience the most entertaining way to follow the sports you love. These mobile apps are live right now on iOS and Android.
Yeah, so there we have it. I mean, if that's your thing, if you like playing those fantasy games, I love playing them. Nevaeh Howell, that's my daughter. I love you, baby. Hi. I love playing these fantasy games, and I play them every year. And the thing is I can play them, and I can spend $20 on one game, on one NFL game. Well, on the subscription base, you can spend $20 and have a month worth of contests. I don't know why you guys haven't clicked the link yet and signed up. If that's your thing, click the link and sign up. All right, guys, before we get into the Chiefs talk, many of you have not heard, but John Madden passed away tonight at the age of 85. And John Madden was a legend within the NFL community. He was a coach for the Oakland Raiders. He was a broadcaster on Monday Night Football. He did the tough acting Tinactin. Bam! Tough acting Tinactin. Remember that? That was John Madden. He did a Miller Lite commercial. And then, he's probably most famous for his video game series, Madden Football. And I would say that he was a jack of all trades, but he really wasn't. He was a master of all trades. Everything he did, he was just legendary about it. I did a report several months back on John Madden in one of my classes in school, and it was funny during the conception of the game Madden, right? They came to Madden and they said, hey, we don't have the technology right now to get 22 guys on the screen at the same time, 11 on 11.
Yeah.
And they presented him a product that was 7 on 7, only 14 guys. And he said, look, here's the deal. I'm not putting my name on it unless you get 22 guys on the screen, because 7 on 7 is not real football. And he was adamant. He was adamant about it. And then at the time, they put 22 guys on the screen. He told him, you figure out a way to do it and you get it done. And they figured out a way to do it. And it was like, at the time, it was like groundbreaking technology. It was like the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh,
so,
for obviously, like you said, the most well-known thing is that Madden video game. Everybody knows what the Madden video game is. Everybody and their mom has seen or played a Madden video game. One of my most favorite memories of John Madden is him in Little Giants. I love that movie. And
he was an actor.
Yeah. And John Madden stopping and asking those kids and getting them geared up to so the Little Giants can play the Cowboys was a very fond memory of mine. And he lived a full life, and it sucks when as we get older, we see people, not our heroes per se, but people that we looked up to or we've watched growing up pass away. But he rest in peace to him. Like I said, he master of all trades, and he lived a great life. So
yeah, I would actually Chad, I would like to take like just a little moment of silence, and if you guys can just help us out, put some like prayer hands, or say that your thoughts, send your prayers to John Madden's family, his loved ones, his friends, everything like that. So yeah, let's just go ahead and take that moment of silence. All right, guys, I appreciate that. There's my prayer hands. I couldn't find the emoticon. All right, guys, I really do appreciate that. He was a legend. I mean, he was absolutely legendary, and he'll be greatly missed. So, but with that, let's get to a little brighter topic. And the Chiefs came out and they had some issues on the COVID list. People on the COVID list: Travis Kelce, Nick Bolton, Lucas Nyang, our specialists, Tommy Townsend, Harrison Buck. I mean, a bunch of key pieces, and really didn't seem to bother him.
Yeah, no. Last week, I think the biggest issue going into the Steelers game was, number one, what Pittsburgh Steelers were we going to get? I think the Steelers have kind of struggled a little bit throughout the year, but given the opportunity of how many players that the Chiefs had on the COVID list, it looked like, there was a little bit of worry that said, hey, maybe the Steelers could be a little bit of a problem for the Chiefs. I think that was the kind of the consensus going into the game last week. I don't really think that had an issue watching the game.
I don't think we saw a dip in production at all.
No, but staying on subject of COVID in general, the Chiefs weren't the only team last week that were just struck with COVID issues. It seemed like last week was the week for COVID spikes in the league.
Yeah, and I almost think that, with these new strains of like COVID coming out, and I mean, this might be protocol moving forward. Like we might just have to treat these things like an injury. Injuries happen, and people get COVID, and that kind of sucks. But moving forward, I hopefully we get this whole COVID thing under wraps, and and I don't want to talk too much about it because it might lead to more of a political topic. We don't have room for that here on this show. But until they do get things under wraps, it'll be interesting to see how they can modify the protocol to make it better moving forward. Because we kind of mentioned it last week. Where's that line where we could start postponing games? Is it the amount of stardom that's missing out on that's missing the game, or is it the amount of people, or what is that line? What are those qualifications? And so I'm interested to see how it works out.
Yeah, and as far as that goes, the league needs to come up with an answer to that question as far as when do we reschedule games, or are we going to reschedule games? Because a little bit of a gray area here, because we were told at the beginning of the year we weren't going to reschedule games. If you weren't going to get the vaccine and you weren't going to be healthy, then you were either going to forfeit or whatever. The league was very strict on how they wanted to do it at the beginning of the year. Well, then we saw a couple of games rescheduled. Okay, well, are we going to do that based off of implications of the game? How many starters are out? Like, what's the threshold here?
Yeah, is it going to be how it affects TV ratings?
Yeah, and that's the other ordeal here, is it needs to be fair for all 32 teams, because you can't half-ass decide, I don't want to do it on this game, and then decide a month later that you're going to reschedule 2 or 3 games because it's the first overall draft pick and a new head coach against a veteran team, or whatever the case is.
Right.
There needs if this is the new normal, and this is what we're going to have to look forward to for years to come, then you need to come up with a way that makes it fair for all 32 teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Offensively, I thought that they looked really well. The only downside I seen, and I was looking at the box score, and it was just kind of a stat that popped out to me, and it was the third down efficiency. They were 4 for 11 on third down, and that's just, we have to do better on first and second down to get us into a position to be able to run high percentage plays.
Yeah.
And whether that be running the ball or short little passes, running these high percentage plays until something breaks open deep. But we have to do something in order to get ourselves in a better position. But that is the only issue that I could find. Whether like outside of nitpicking, maybe a couple like offensive linemen that could have done a little bit better, like Andrew Wiley or whatever, that's going up against TJ Watt. But other than that, that's the only issue. This offense looked phenomenal, didn't it?
Yeah. No, and it's crazy because I think we're starting to see Patrick, get more comfortable against these defenses running the 2 deep safeties. And I think we're also starting to see Patrick get comfortable, throwing 4, 5, 6 yard passes instead of trying to throw, 15 plus yard passes every time he gets his hands on the ball. And like you said, I think it's the offense coming into their own now, starting to put everybody else on notice.
Themselves now.
Yep, exactly.
And Mahomes he's not out there forcing throws anymore. He's not trying to force it down the field. You're absolutely right. He's dinking and dunking right down the field. And I think us being able to establish a run game has a lot to do with it. But you could just see the development throughout the year, and they almost just looked more fluid. They looked, and I was talking to a buddy of mine right after the game, and I said, I think Travis Kelce being out of the game is possibly the best thing that could have happened for Kansas City. It forced them to just kind of use other weapons.
Yeah, no, I think when you first say something like that, like it's considered a hot take, but I think the reason why, that we come in and we say, hey, him being out was the best thing because it helped Mahomes gain confidence, and whether it was, little 3, 6, 7 yard passes, he spread the ball around. He was able to, read his progressions and move the ball down the field instead of relying strictly on Kelce and Hill, because Hill was doubled and Kelce wasn't there.
Yeah, and we knew coming into this game with Kelce, so it's always just been Hill and Kelce. We had Sammy Watkins for a little bit. He was injured until the playoffs, and then, he kind of showed up. But it's always just mainly been Hill and Kelce. And without Kelce, we knew that they were just going to double up on Hill and basically take him out of the game.
Yep.
And so that was the big question going into the game, was how was Mahomes going to react to not having his 2 top targets? And it forced him to spread the ball around. He targets 10 different guys, right? And then connects with 9. He connects passes with 9 different receivers. Josh Gordon was targeted several times, was not able to reel in any catches. And I mean, it just seemed like all the work and the struggle and everything that he's had all season long, and it's just kind of been negated, and like he's got it. He's figured it out. And I hate to be the guy who's like, oh, he's back, because that's what everyone's saying. If you say, if you ask him, you say, hey, how's it feel to be back? He'll tell you, where did I ever go?
Yeah. No, it's funny because, we've talked a lot on this podcast. I know I've talked a lot of Mahomes not looking like himself, and him, trying to get back to that, that 2019 Mahomes of, 300 plus passing yards, 3+ touchdowns, darn near almost every game he plays. And, the big gunslinger that we're used to seeing. And, I don't think it ever left. I just think that, Mahomes is showing us now how versatile he could be.
Yeah. Yeah. For a while, and I'd agree with that take. Like, I don't think it ever left, but for a while, it just wasn't as prolific as what it used to be. And our expectations were set so high. Like, he was still efficient. Like, we're starting to see Mahomes appear in MVP talks now.
Yeah.
He never really left. It just wasn't as prolific as what it was before.
Exactly.
So speaking of wide receivers, it kind of worked out. Like, I did this little who's hot and who's not as far as the wide receivers. And McCole Hardman and, Mr. Stud, McCole Hardman and Byron Pringle. Byron Pringle had a hell of a game.
Oh yeah.
And then on the flip side, look, okay, so Byron Pringle, let me pull up the box score real quick. I got it right here. He has, and when I say he has a hell of a game, look, 6 receptions, 75 yards. That's not much. It's not like, T. Higgins or Jamar Chase or anything. He's not a number 1 wide receiver either. 2 touchdowns. And then that dude has some moves. he juked some of those kids right out of their cleats, bro.
Yeah.
Man, I got to go back and watch that, and I laughed again.
No, yeah. Pringle had some pretty good feet work in that game. I mean, it just goes to show you that, the mentality of this team of next man up, yeah. I mean, we could say, hey, where was that action from Byron Pringle 3 weeks ago? You know what? That's okay. There's 53 men on this team. And when they need them to step up, man, some of those guys come in and they step up.
It always seems like somebody steps up.
Yeah.
You never really know who it's going to be, but somebody steps up in the moment. They make the most of the moment, and you see it. That mentality, that next man up mentality, and it just permeates throughout the entire locker room. Offense, defense, special teams. There, like I mentioned earlier, there just didn't seem to be a dip in production at all.
No.
So, okay, then we have Blake Bell, who takes over for Travis Kelce. He makes a couple good grabs. He looks pretty good up there. And Blake Bell's not even known as a receiving tight end. He's more of a blocker. What was your take on Blake Bell? And then also, what was your take on the fact that we didn't really see Noah Gray as much?
I think Noah is kind of looked at as, a developing player. Blake is legitimately a backup, a guy ready to step in, when Kelsey's not able to play. And I think Blake Bell did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Blake's not, he doesn't have as big of a presence as Kelsey does. And let's take away, Kelsey's, big playmaking ability. I'm talking about like his presence on the field, but Blake does have that receiving ability, kind of like almost not a, I don't want to bring up old Chiefs, but almost like a Tony Moeaki type.
That's what I was going to say. It was like a Tony Moeaki.
Yeah.
Which was extremely disappointing.
Yeah. I think that he's got those, those big long arms, can go up and get the ball and can rough people at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
He's not going to be across the middle type of guy like Kelsey is, but
it's just nice to see these guys kind of step up and one of the things about Blake Bell is his hands, and he doesn't have the surest of hands, but everything that came his way in the moment, he caught. And so I was pretty impressed with Blake Bell as well, being able to step up. And then, of course, Noah Gray. I know we didn't see Noah Gray that much, but he kind of took over Blake Bell's blocking responsibilities throughout most of the game.
Yeah.
It was just everyone moved up a slot. Bell was the receiving tight end, and Noah Gray was the blocker. And so, I think that's just kind of how they operate throughout that organization. So we get another impressive performance from the offensive line, only allowing 2 sacks on the day. I cannot believe, I think we mentioned this last time, I cannot believe that Creed Humphrey got a snub from the Pro Bowl. That was just we got Jamar Chase can make it, and everyone's gonna say, "Oh, he's a rookie." Horse shit. Yeah, Jamar Chase made it. Creed Humphrey, that was a clear snub. He's the best center in the league, and not just rookies in the entire league.
Yeah, and it's crazy because there's a lot of people that mention the same thing. I watch Good Morning Football, watch a lot of those NFL analyst shows, and there was a lot of people that mentioned it, and I'm just like, well, okay, well then where is it?
I think I know it's an alternate or whatever, but whatever, man.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you that the Pro Bowl it's stupid.
Well, it's come to be a popularity contest.
It's not even a popularity contest. Like, it's just because, even at the end of the day, they'll go, okay, here's the voting. We'll let the fans vote on the Pro Bowl. Man, you got me going on this soapbox. We're gonna go. Okay, so they got the fan voting. They let the fans vote,
do it.
and then at the end, they decide. The Pro Bowl is the biggest waste of space and time and money in all of sports.
They botched the event itself.
You want a hot take? I'll give you a hot take. Preseason football is more important than the stupid Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch the Senior Bowl. I'd rather watch the Senior Bowl than watch the stupid Pro Bowl.
We've got all this side games, and we're barely tackling. We're barely doing any. It's stupid. The whole Pro Bowl, the whole dynamic. I know it's supposed to be like kid friendly and yada yada yada. Playing dodgeball and throwing. And what?
Yeah.
What happened to NFC versus AFC? Best of the best. Go.
But it was never like that.
Man, that was the best. That was
the idea. The idea sounds good on paper, but it's not like that. You get to the game essentially, and me as a head coach, I'm not sending my guys out there to tackle somebody. And as the NFL,
no one wants to get hurt anymore on a meaningless game.
Exactly. So the Pro Bowl, all the Pro Bowl should be is this little stat padding contest. Who can, those accuracy throwing balls, do some trick shots, whatever. If you're going to waste the money and fly these guys to Hawaii or wherever the heck you go, it's a waste of money for the league in my mind, but I'm sure it's just a trickle in the bucket for the league. Right. But you fly these guys to Hawaii, you make them play a meaningless game, you suit up, all the yada yada baloney. Get rid of it. It's stupid. Yeah. I'd rather watch preseason football. I'd rather them add one more game of preseason football back and get rid of the Pro Bowl. I'm done.
And if we're gonna do it like that, okay. So if we're gonna do it like that, and we got all these little side events, like you were saying, and I was saying, accuracy contests, and dodgeball, and whatever. Then why haven't we moved the Pro Bowl to after the Super Bowl? Because the only reason that these players that get voted in that make it to the Super Bowl that they don't play is because they don't want to get injured for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well then why haven't we moved the Pro Bowl back till afterwards and let these guys enjoy the honors that they earned?
Well, and even then I still think in some degree half, if not more than half, those players are going to go, well, this game doesn't mean anything. It doesn't go towards my stats. It doesn't go towards my record. It doesn't go towards anything. Yeah. So why would I play and risk getting injured?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them will.
You could have a guy tear an ACL. And if you have a guy tear an ACL the Pro Bowl, it's stupid. It's dumb. I want it done with. I want it abolished.
Daniel Hiddens says, I think the Pro Bowl is a waste of time. He also said, Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm at the point now to where we just get rid of it. You know, it all it is another event to try to gain television ratings.
Yeah.
You know, and we're making it's almost a fucking circus now. Excuse my language, but he also says, I think having Travis Kelce out of the game helped open Mahomes' eyes to other receivers. Yeah, it really forced his hand. And sometimes that's the best thing to happen to you is just to be thrown into the fire. And it really forced his hand. He had to get other receivers. And then once he kind of gained that confidence, he took off.
Yeah.
And, you know, this was probably, I think he said earlier, he said they looked like a team. And I think what he means by that is like a complete team. They look like an actual team. They were playing well. The chemistry was there. And they were building off of each other. I wanted to talk about the running backs. I thought they did pretty good for the most part. Darrell Williams has 11 yards or 11 carry for 55 yards, 5.0 average. That's spectacular. Never reaches the end zone. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, of course, has an injury that we first speculated was probably a fractured collarbone or something like that. Now come to find out it's just a bruised shoulder, and he's week to week at this point, which is great. It's phenomenal. Derek Gore has a really great game. Statistically rushing, he's 12 carries, 43 yards. So, like, when Clyde goes out, you know, both those guys just next man up. They split those carries. Darrell Williams has 11. Derek Gore has 12. You know, that's even right there. I was really impressed with Derek Gore receiving out of the backfield. He has the longest reception of the game, like 51 yards. He has 61 yards total. And let me ask you this. Jerick McKinnon is coming back to the roster. Is supposed to be coming back this week. What's his role? I mean, I don't think we can. You almost have to feed the hot hand at Derek Gore. Darrell Williams ain't going nowhere. Clyde might be back. What's Jerick McKinnon's role?
Not much. I mean, I'm sure they'll find a way to mix him in a little bit, but I mean, as we know, there's not much room on the roster for him. I think, you know, they might double down on him because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is week to week with that shoulder.
Yeah.
But yeah, McKinnon.
And I think he has some special team duties that Dave Tobe really likes, you know. But outside of that, I wouldn't expect much from Jerick McKinnon coming back.
No, not at all.
And if we do see it, it's probably going to be in the receiving game.
Yeah.
You know, I would imagine. So, all right, guy. So, you know, O-line has another impressive week. We talk about that. Clyde's injury, Jerick McKinnon's coming back. Teams are now respecting the run, right? And rightfully so. As we're heading into the playoffs, this Chiefs offense seems to have figured out how to attack teams in a balanced manner.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of what we want going into the playoffs. Like, we knew at the beginning of the season that it wasn't going to be the same team that we saw at the end of the season. And now they are in, like, playoff form.
Yeah, no, and we've touched on it. You know, we talked about it earlier. The offense has come into its own. The offense is more than just the identity of this offense has become more than just Mahomes slinging the ball down the field to Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And that's what makes this team scary in December and January. And that's what makes that's what makes Chiefs football super exciting right now, because we're not just looking at a complete offense. We're looking at a complete defense and, a
complete team.
Yeah. Complete team.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, 2 years ago, it was it was, well, who cares if the defense gives up 30 points? Mahomes is going to put up 40. Now it's, the defense isn't letting them score more than 20.
Yeah.
And
In our 8-game win streak, our defense has averaged 12.3 points per game.
Yep. And Mahomes is starting to get up to speed. So
yeah, so getting to see them in playoff form as we go in. I mean, let me ask you this: who in the AFC, who in the NFL is better right now? Who looks better at this point? Moving, in the NFL.
I'm sure I could sit down and probably nitpick and say, yeah, this team might look a little better than we do, or that team, but right, knee-jerk reaction right now, nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the case being made for like Green Bay. Green Bay is a very good team. I see you, Richmond. What's up, buddy? How are you doing tonight? Appreciate you tuning in with us. Hey, I told Robert that we were not going to be live, but here we are. We're live, so make sure you know that make sure he knows that we're on here. Get him in here too. Hey, look, guys, if you don't know, I do this little podcast. I'm the producer of this podcast that has Richmond Webb and Robert Wilson on there. They do it's called Gig 'em Guys with Miami Ties. It's on Starcade Media. And it's a really great show. They talk about the Texas A&M Aggies, if that's your thing. They talk about the Miami Dolphins, which I've become a big fan of the Miami Dolphins right now. Just the story alone. They started 1-7, right? And now they're 8-7.
Yeah.
Or after whipping up on the Saints. Man, I like to see the comeback story. Who doesn't like a comeback story? You know what I'm saying? So if you get a chance, go check out Richmond Webb. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on Facebook. Use Starcade Media. Look up Gig 'em Guys with Miami Ties.
That's funny you mentioned that. I always check out the show, because Starcade Media does the 4-minute offense, and right after 4-minute offense, they always do the Gig 'em. So I always check it out afterwards, just to kind of watch it, and that's funny, man.
Yeah, and these are two guys that played in the NFL. I mean, they've got a different perspective on things.
Yeah.
Great gentleman. So I love to see that he's here. David Lindsay, I see you there, buddy. Appreciate you stopping in every freaking week. You guys are about as loyal as they come.
So I guess now would be a good time to, just to stop in the middle of that to kind of remind everybody that at 400 likes of Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk, we've got a special signed certified copy of L'Jarius Sneed photo to give away to one of the 400 followers of Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. There is a certificate of authenticity. James can tell you exactly how to win that bad boy. But we're
really all you got to do is make sure that you're sharing it. All my faithful, the Davids, the Daniels, the Donnies, I'm surprised Donnie's not in here right now. But all my faithfuls, I've got you all in there. If you're new to the stream, make sure that you follow, make sure that you share. Just hit me up in some way. I usually get a notification. So if you do it, you're in it. I will run it. Once we hit that 400 follower mark, I will run it in a randomizer. I will run all the names in a randomizer. We'll come up with a winner, and we will give that away. And then after we give this one away, we will start our next giveaway, which is a couple Neil Smith 8x10s that are signed, have that certificate authenticity as well. So make sure that you follow Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because we just giving shit away, bro. So, all right, guys. I want to just talk about the defense a little bit before we go on break. We're gonna take a small little break. I want to I do want to talk about the defense. So we have like Willie Gay Jr. back, L'Jarius Sneed's back, and most importantly, Chris Jones is back. Chris Jones is truly a difference maker. Like, we see the difference in the defense when Chris Jones was in there and when he wasn't last week, the week previous against the Chargers. Okay, so I was looking at the box score, right? And it doesn't look pretty. Najee Harris has 19 carries for 93 yards, 4.9 average. That's not that good. No TDs. The reason why Najee Harris, not take anything away from Najee Harris, because he's an incredible running back.
I was going to say Najee Harris is a damn good back.
Yeah.
But you know,
we put them in a position where they had to pass the ball, and so we played pass defense.
Yep.
Which is weak to a run. And
Yep.
so, yeah, he broke off a couple runs here and there. And, yeah, he had 93 yards, and he averaged almost 5 yards a carry. I understand that. But when we're +3 in the turnover battle, right? And we put them in a bad position that where we're winning 23-0 at halftime, they have to come out and pass the ball. So what are we going to do? We're going to drop 7. Either that or we're going to tee off because Ben Roethlisberger is like a statue back there.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not really concerned with the inflated stats. See, that's how stats can lie to you.
No, of course.
Let's see. Yeah, Chris Jones, he got big hands. He got big old mitts, bro. Chris Jones is a beast. He is a beast, and we've seen the difference with him in the game compared to when he missed in Chargers. He's a difference maker. He demands double coverage, and he frees things up. If he's not, it's like a ripple effect, right? Yeah. So if he's not making the play, he's freeing things up for other players like Mike Dana or Alex Okafor to make these plays. There he is. What's up, my man? What's up, Rob? How you doing, man? Glad to see you in here.
And you mentioned the Chris Jones effect, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, he's a top tier player, probably top 5 D lineman in the league. There's a reason why, I always emphasize on this show that there's people in positions that get paid more than I do to figure that stuff out. And there's a reason why Chris Jones was put on that hefty contract that he got, because he is a definite playmaker. He is where Chris Jones is on the field when he's playing. So yeah. He is, Rob just said he is the Aaron Donald of the Chiefs. And you couldn't be more right. You go watch a play, and not to take anything away from Jaron Reed or Derek Nottie or even Frank Clark, but you go watch a play where they're causing ruckus. I promise you, if you pause it and go back 5-6 frames, you're going to see 2 linemen that are making sure that Chris Jones isn't back there in the quarterback's face. Yeah. And that's why those other guys were able to make plays. Yeah, that ripple effect. And no matter where he is, offensive coordinators know where Chris Jones is on the field. Because if not, it's a bad day.
Yeah. And speaking of Frank Clark, he comes up with another sack this week. Yep. He is making me eat everything I said the first 5 weeks of the season, because the first 5 weeks I was ready to just get him out of here, get your little Uzi carrying disrespectful little ass out of Kansas City. You ain't doing nothing, and he wasn't. He's made me eat every bit of that since during this win since we got Melvin Ingram, basically.
Well, and that was kind of the thing is where Frank was on that side. There wasn't a whole lot to free up the other offensive linemen from protecting him.
Yeah.
So Frank was getting double teamed. He was lining up against the best linemen, which he should, given the fact of how big of a contract he got. I do expect Frank Clark to line up against the best linemen, but you bring in somebody else who can help free that up. And man, I wouldn't mind seeing the Chiefs move him to the right side, or the left side, so he's lining up against the right tackle. I honestly think that he'd cause a lot more ruckus over there. But that whole front seven has been playing really, really good football the past 3-4 months.
Even like the likes of Ben Neiman,
Yeah,
Dorian or O'Daniel.
yeah.
These guys that like if you could ask any other fan base who these two guys are, and no one will know, except for Kansas City fans.
Yeah.
And they're making plays. They of course we talked about it before, that next man up mentality. Bolton was out, Fenton was out. There's still no dip in production, at all.
None whatsoever.
So, and I think, we had a couple incidents earlier in the year where, Anthony Hitchens had gotten into a little spat on Twitter with some fans. Tyrann Mathieu came in and kind of took his side. And also, like, you could see the bond that this team has and this chemistry that they've built. And I think that kind of sparked it as well when Anthony was like, oh man, they've got my back, and didn't have to always look over his shoulder. I think that helped the chemistry quite a bit. So Chris Jones, look, Najee Harris was limited. Is this Ben? I wanted to talk about Ben. Is this Ben Roethlisberger's last year? He likes my sports coat.
It looks sharp, doesn't it, Rob? It looks sharp.
You know what it is.
I'm always wearing a long sleeves Chiefs shirt or my 20-year-old Mahomes jersey, and this guy's always outdoing me with these sports coats.
You know what it is. Hey, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
But hey, as far as Big Ben goes, nobody knows when Big Ben's last year will be. And for as much as Ben Roethlisberger has contributed to the Pittsburgh Steelers, organization, I think Ben Roethlisberger will decide when Ben Roethlisberger's last year will be. But I don't know. What's crazy is I've heard everybody say that this is going to be. A lot of the commentators and the announcers have all speculated and assumed that this is going to be Ben Roethlisberger's last year, at least with the Steelers. But I don't know, man. I
don't think that he plays for a different team.
Yeah, I don't think he plays for a different team either. And like I said,
think it needs to be his last year.
Yeah, it's just hard to say, for like I said, for as much as he's contributed to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that I think Ben will decide when Ben's last year will be.
Well, I just think that, man, he really reminded me of a bigger Joe Flacco when Joe Flacco was in Denver. Like, just an absolute statue in the pocket. Yeah. And, he's losing his arm strength. You see it on his throws. Everything their whole offensive playbook is within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. You know, they don't throw nothing deep.
Yeah.
And Rob Wilson said, Ben got to go. He's done. I mean, I agree. I do agree with Chase here that I think that Ben decides when Ben's done in Pittsburgh. And I don't think he'll play. If he was to leave Pittsburgh, he wouldn't get a job on a different team. But if he wanted to play another year, I think he could play it in Pittsburgh. Yeah, just to say that. If he wanted to. If a first-round running back from Alabama can't save him, I mean, and Najee Harris, look, he's pretty good. We were talking about it earlier. He's phenomenal talent.
And regardless of what you can say about that Chase kid, that Chase Claypool kid,
yeah.
You know, with his, you know, whatever antics, whatever, you know.
Are you talking about where he was dancing when the clock was running?
Yeah, it took like 40 seconds, or there was like 40 seconds left on the clock, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he's a stud. Najee Harris is a stud.
Deontay Johnson.
They've got a great
Pat Freiermuth. He's a pretty good rookie tight end out there.
Yeah.
I mean, they surrounded Ben with talent. And he still struggled this year. So yeah, I think this is his last year, but I also agree that I think that it's up to Ben whether it's his last year or not. All right, guys.
I was gonna say, are we doing break or?
Yep. That's what I was just getting to. We're gonna go to break real quick. For those who didn't catch it at the beginning of the show, let me get it pulled up here. Look, if you notice down below my name, down below Chase's name over there, we got a couple new logos. We are proud to announce that we have partnered up with SuperDraft Pro. It's a new fantasy gaming, if you're into like fantasy football or fantasy basketball, baseball, all the sports, golf, racing, NHL, all of it's there. Go check out my link. It should be in the description. If it's not, send me a message. I'm pretty sure it's there. But send me a message. I'll get you a link. Go check it out. It's really, really cool. I've already played on there several times. Just free matches or free contests. I've won real cash on there. So just go check it out. Yeah. And with that, we will be right back, guys. What's going on, guys? Jaymes Howell here. Look, if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And more importantly, make sure that you smash that notification bell. That way you'll never miss any content from Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. Also, while you're at it, go to Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk on Facebook as well as on Twitter. You can find the links for those in the description. Until next time, once again, stay legendary, guys.
Hey everyone, Chase Riley here, the co-host of Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. I wanted to take a moment to share with you guys that when I'm not on this legendary podcast, I'm out trying to help build our brand and the legendary community that James and I speak so much about. And by doing so, I started Chase Riley Sports. So it would really mean a lot to me if you haven't already to go like and share my page and make sure you adjust the notifications accordingly so you never miss anything I post. It's extremely simple. It's just C Riley Sports on all social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Like I said, guys, it would mean a lot to me to have you guys join us on this journey. And until next time, stay legendary, my friends.
Oh, let's get this off of here. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Jaymes Howell Chiefs Talk. Appreciate every single one of you to sticking with us throughout the break. You guys are legendary. Before we get started on anything else, I did see a comment by David Lindsay. He said, how about the legacy Mr. Madden himself has left? R.I.P. Yeah, we did mention it at the beginning. We had a little moment of silence. You're absolutely right, man. He's a legend. He's a legend, and his legacy will live on for a long time, most notably through the video games. But, man, he had an impact and throughout the NFL, the Raiders, and his NFL broadcasting career. And, I mean, he was just a master at everything he did. So before we went to break, we were talking about the defense. So I wanted to go ahead and just move on to the special teams. What was your take on Elliott Fry?
I think Elliott filled a need for the time being. I don't think that Elliott is going to, become a permanent addition to this roster. He might be somebody, we float around, in practice squad, but that position belongs to Harrison Butker.
David Lindsay says, I think his nerves got the best of him, and that might very well be the case. I also think, I heard reports that it was pretty windy out there at Arrowhead on Sunday. I mentioned, I posted something on my page. I said, wow, what a half. And this was at halftime. I said the only downside was Elliott Fry. And that was absolutely true at the time. He had just missed 2 kicks. One was a point after and one was a field goal. And that was the only downside. With that said, he was 3 for 4, made 75% of his kicks. It was windy. He missed the PAT, whatever. I thought he did a pretty good job filling in. Like Chase said, it's not going to be someone that is going to take over Harrison Butker's spot or anything like that. He was just a stopgap. Thank you, Richmond. Condolences to the Madden family. Hey guys, if you haven't already, make sure that you go hit that like button, hit that follow button, hit that share button, hit the subscribe, the notification bell, and leave us a reaction. Thumbs up, heart, laughy face, wow, whatever, you guys have to do. Smash those buttons. Then, so we're missing our other kicker from special teams, our punter, Tommy Townsend. His brother comes in, Johnny Townsend. And what was your take on Johnny Townsend?
Again, I think it was just a quick little adjustment that the team made given the circumstances. Obviously, I think we got the cooler of the Townsend brothers with Tommy's hair.
Yeah.
But both of those moves, the Elliott Fry thing and the Townsend move, were just moves, on the go, real quick, on the fly.
Yeah.
That they had to make given the circumstances.
Sure. Daniel Hibden gives Elliott Fry a B+.
Okay.
That's right where I would be at too. About a B+,
No, they're not gonna make huge impacts on this. They're not gonna be long-term options on this team. They're not gonna make impacts. Nobody's gonna go out and buy an Elliott Fry jersey or a Johnny Townsend jersey.
Yeah.
And
it's good to see what these guys kind of have because injuries do happen. We see hyperextended knees and kickers, especially punters who might get their planting foot rolled up on or something like that. It's good to have some of these guys basically in the back pocket. If you need to call them, you can call them. Maybe they don't even make the practice squad. Johnny Townsend has 2 punts on the day, 91 yards, an average of 45.5. That's pretty good. Apparently their whole family is punters, kind of like the Colquitt family. So, I'm glad to see that. You're absolutely right, though. It would have been a lot cooler if he would have had the hair. If he would have had the hair flowing out the helmet, a little sunshine action there. He would have looked like he would have got some style points along the way. So that's why we've got Tommy and not Johnny.
That's right.
Other than that, I thought, it's basically same throughout the whole entire team, man. It's the next man up, and I thought they're good stopgaps. I agree. We're not going to see them next week, but they're going to be in the address book of Brett Veach and Andy Reid. You know, Pat Mahomes. This is what he had to say about punting and the lack or the fact that we had Johnny Townsend instead of Tommy Townsend. This wasn't a knock on Johnny, but he had mentioned the fact that we just won't punt it. You know, we got a backup punter. We just won't punt it. So I thought that was kind of funny. Anything else you'd like to bring up about the special teams? I mean, McCole Hardman looked pretty pedestrian as far as returns go. One return, 20 yards, punt return for 18. So outside of that.
Stud-like or dud-like?
What's that?
I said stud-like or dud-like?
Who, Tommy?
No, I was talking about McCole. But
McCole? Yeah.
Noah's not here tonight. Otherwise,
Where is Noah?
Yeah.
Where is Noah? Dang it. Hey, someone go share this and tag Noah.
But, you know,
get his ass in here. All right, guys, just a little bit more before we get off for the night. We're going to talk about the AFC playoff picture because playoffs are just right around the corner. So as of right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, they hold that number 1 seed. Now I have the stats pulled up here, and this is wrong. I don't know where this came from. Oh man. Okay, so then behind them we've got the Patriots and I believe the Tennessee Titans and or is it the Ravens or is it the Bengals now? Who leads that division? Is it the Bengals? It is. It's the Bengals.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, and the Titans, and that's our 4 division winners, right? And then behind that, we've got the Ravens at 8-7, the Chargers at 8-7, the Patriots at 9-6, and the Dolphins at 8-7. So, you know, these teams here, Dolphins, Chargers, Raiders, Ravens, and the Colts, they're all vying for those last wild card spots. So, you know, what I wanted to bring up is the Dolphins. I wanted to talk about the Dolphins for a quick second because I think they sneak in. That was the whole point of me bringing in the playoff picture. Dolphins are holding that number 7 spot right now. Perfect. I think they sneak in, bro. They've got the Titans coming up next, which is going to be a tough game. And then they've got the Patriots. I think the Dolphins are good enough that they beat both those teams.
I was going to say I think the Dolphins beat the Titans. I think that I could see New England being a little bit of a struggle for them. But man, I think if it's winning, you're in for Miami.
Yeah.
I think Miami could pull it off.
I think so too. They've got a really, really good defense out there. We've got a familiar face out there in Emmanuel Ogbah.
Yep. Albert Wilson.
And Albert Wilson. Yep. Yeah. So, you know, I think they've got a really, really good defense, and it's Tua time.
Yeah. You know what? And you know what I like to see, man? I really love stories of how like good young talented kids that come out and get drafted to teams, and then these horse manure teams that have no good front office, no good coaching staff, no good whatever, are ready to give up on these kids. Prime example, New York with Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. I think Sam Darnold getting away from New York and going to Carolina was one of the best things for Sam Darnold. And shame on New York for giving up on Sam Darnold that quick. But you got a crappy front office, you got a crappy coaching staff, a crappy culture, and that's what happens. And I think it's the same thing with Tua. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but 5-6 months ago, or maybe about 4 months ago, Miami was ready to,
Well, they were talking about bringing in Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And I thought at the time, I was like, I thought that was just absurd. Like, Tua hasn't even gotten a chance.
Yeah. And he's a phenomenal young, talented kid. And, not taking anything away from Deshaun Watson, but let's be realistic. Deshaun Watson may never play another down in the NFL again.
And that's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen until everything.
Exactly.
And we haven't heard much about any of the legal issues going on.
Yeah.
But until that all plays out, we're not gonna know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 50-50 coin at this point. I mean, he could, it could all go away, and Deshaun Watson may play in the NFL again. Or this whole thing may turn over and Deshaun Watson may never play another down in the NFL again. We don't know. But you're willing to risk it all and give up on this young, talented kid that you've got.
That you're already invested in.
Yeah, exactly. So I love stories like that. I love it when those guys can take it and make those teams eat their words.
Yeah.
So I'm a big Tua supporter, and man, I would be excited for them to get in.
Go ahead, say his last name.
I'm not going to.
Tagovailoa?
Oh, did you just make that up?
No, it's Tua Tagovailoa. I've had to practice it 100 times.
One more time for me.
Tagovailoa.
Taco Viola.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
He said if he could stay healthy, and that's the thing is, but they need to invest in the kid, offensive line and weapons, and they got like Jalen Waddle, they got Gesicki out there, they're tied in. They got guys, but they got to keep investing in the kid. And it's just like a business. If you want your business to grow, you have to invest in it. You have to grow it. You have to treat it like it's your baby. It's invest in it.
It's not rocket science. Everybody knows that the pivotal piece of that team is the quarterback. And if you don't build around your quarterback, then there's not much of a future to go with. So especially when you draft kid in the first round like that,
right.
It's time to start building around them and showing, hey, this is our guy. This is who we're going with. So
yeah, you already made that statement when you drafted him. You said this is our guy.
Yep.
Now stick with your commitment and invest in your guy.
That's correct.
Speaking of young quarterbacks, the Bengals are back in. They were in my shit list for a little bit. Now they're back on my good list. Joe Burrow is 525, and he threw a couple touchdowns in there as well. But they're in that third seed. Do they win this division, bro?
I don't see why not.
They control their own destiny. Now they play the Chiefs next.
They do. But you look at – so if we look at the way they finish out compared to, the Browns –
let's look here.
Are we on week 16 or week 17 now? We're on week 17.
So we got the Ravens got the Rams and the Steelers left.
The Browns have the Steelers, and they have the Steelers on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. What's your take on Baker Mayfield? Is he a good quarterback or no?
I think he's a good quarterback. I just think that would it be weird if I said that weird if I said that I think that Cleveland's organization is cursed?
Well, a lot of people believe that. Yeah, a lot of people believe that. I think it's just extremely mismanaged, and
I think this is part of the curse. I think if we rewind back to what I was saying earlier about these crappy front offices that bring in crappy coaching staffs. And I'm not saying every coach that is coached for Cleveland is crappy. I'm saying that, I'm just saying like they don't put together a good, nucleus to create a winning culture there. And anytime they do, or anytime they start to, the front office comes in and flushes it out and decides they want to start anew. And it just doesn't work like that. Like you can't hand me a piece of dog turd and say, hey, you got 1 year to turn this into
diamonds.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to take a little bit.
I've always said about Baker, this is what I've always said. I've asked this question. People that want to say that Baker Mayfield is a terrible quarterback or, whatever. And I know he's coming off of 4 interceptions this last game. And there's a lot of haters on Baker right now. But let me ask you this. If Baker Mayfield was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs instead of Patrick Mahomes and was surrounded by Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid, and the chemistry or the culture we have here.
Yep. Sat a year behind Alex Smith like Pat did. I don't think that he, I think Pat is better than Baker.
Oh, undoubtedly.
But I think that Baker looks a lot better in Kansas City than he does Cleveland.
I think he's in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think if Baker would have got drafted by, Cincinnati, I think he'd be in a better position than he is now. I think if he'd got drafted by Pittsburgh, he'd be in a better position than he is now. Like I said, I hate to say that word. I don't believe in voodoo or anything like that, but
yeah,
I just think that the culture that they have in Cleveland is so deeply embedded that I don't know, man. It's going to take a really long time for somebody to come out and change that all in Cleveland.
Yeah. I don't think it's not gonna happen overnight, man. They have to get a core group of guys, like you were kind of saying earlier, that the nucleus.
Yep.
They have to get a core group of guys together that is all on the same page and it all have the same goals and can work together to build a team.
Yeah. You may have the locker room together, and that's awesome, but you can't fire a head coach after one season and expect a new head coach to come in and be able to lead and guide those guys in the locker room.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing with the front office. You can't kick a guy out of the front office after a year and expect them to come in and have the same chemistry with the owner and the coach and the players. I mean, it's not going to happen.
And another example, a little bit closer to home, is right out over in Vegas, the Raiders.
Yeah.
Look, Derek Carr has consistently, stat wise, has produced stats. He's thrown a bunch of yards. He's had good touchdown interception ratio, and he's had 6 different head coaches in his 9 years there. You can't have any sort of, and that's why he hasn't turned into a better quarterback than what he is.
Yeah.
Is that inconsistency. You can't build any sort of chemistry if there's a carousel of coaches coming through.
Yeah. And I think the perfect example of that, especially for Chiefs fans to kind of let that hit home, since the main audience that we have as Chiefs fans, to kind of, put that in a realization for everybody, is Alex Smith.
Yep.
Alex Smith was drafted the same year that Aaron Rodgers was drafted. was drafted higher than Aaron Rodgers was drafted. And I'm not saying that Alex Smith is anywhere near the caliber of quarterback that Aaron Rodgers was, but you can't tell me that the guy wasn't talented because of what he came here and did. And when you go through 9 different offensive coordinators, and I think it was like 6 different head coaches, it's hard to – you eventually have to sit down and go, okay, what is expected of me? What are we doing here? Because I don't play football. I don't know when's the last time you did, but I will tell you that anybody who does play football will tell you that learning a playbook is one of the most difficult things you can do. They're not all the same. That's not how that works.
Right.
You've got to come in and you've got to learn. So different coaches have different cadences, different plays,
terminologies.
Exactly. Yeah. So to assume that it's all the same, that it's all just X's and O's is asinine. So that's something that I would, for Chiefs fans that I would, kind of use for it to hit home is it would be like Alex Smith coming, going through multiple different coordinators, multiple different head coaches, and then coming here to Kansas City and showing what he could have done the whole time with just one guy.
And I thought Alex Smith did great in his time here. He's not a huge playmaker. He doesn't have the upside of like Rodgers or, even Breeze or Brady or whatever. But he was always in the top 5 in yards. He protected the ball. He did his job, and he did what he does very well.
Yep.
So, with that, man, I ain't got much else to talk about.
I'm right there with you, man.
What about you, chat? You guys want to talk about anything else? I mean, we talked about the playoff standings with the Colts are kind of been a shock. Not really a shock, but they just kind of quietly crept up into the conversation.
Does Jonathan Taylor win MVP?
That's a good question. I haven't heard much talk about it.
Does Jonathan Taylor deserve to win MVP?
I think he deserves to at least be in the talk.
So we, a couple of guys, myself, who we talk sports and whatnot. They had brought I had shared a graphic with them of 2 prior MVPs that were running backs.
Yeah,
Sean Alexander and Adrian Peterson. And I think Jonathan Taylor is like 200 yards off, but has more touchdowns. Now, granted, the year that AP won his MVP and Sean Alexander won their MVP, there wasn't as many games in the season. So by the end of the season, I'm sure Jonathan Taylor will exceed Adrian Peterson's yards and Sean Alexander's touchdowns. So,
I mean, it's still pretty comparable, though. You're only 200 yards off with 3 games. We got 2 games to go?
Yeah.
2 games to go. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty comparable. You might be 100 yards short, but more touchdowns. I think he should definitely be in the conversation, and he's not. I haven't heard him.
Yeah.
Fantasy owners that own Jonathan Taylor would probably agree with that. I traded him. I'm kicking myself in the ass. I traded him early in the season for Josh Jacobs.
Man, that's no bueno.
That was disgusting. I don't know what the heck I was thinking.
I'm a little sour on fantasy football right now. Our main league that we're all in, Brody, Stitch, all of us. I got to the playoffs and went to play Curtis Moak, and Curtis had Patrick Mahomes, and I had Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray puts up 9 points.
Yeah.
And Patrick puts up 48, 49.
Mm-hmm.
The most he's put up all year.
Hey, last week last week I was playing Mike Harris.
Yeah.
And he beat me. Tom Brady, scored me like 4 points. And so this week I told Mike, I said, I call this game, this Chiefs Pittsburgh game, I call this the fantasy revenge game.
Yeah.
Because he's a Pittsburgh fan.
Yeah. No, I saw him on Facebook. He was quite upset with the way his team played, as I would be too. So
yeah. No, it wasn't pretty. So also speaking of fantasy, if you guys haven't already, go check out the link in the description for SuperDraft Pro. Go sign up. It's free to sign up. If you're not into those fantasy games, fantasy football, or never really done it, it's free. It's free. It's free.
Hey, and
go try it.
and what I would tell everybody is think of DraftKings, but instead of doing $1 entry or a $5 entry or something like that, you pay your fee a month, and that's it. So it's super
and they got
fun.
games that come within your subscription.
Yep.
And you play those games all month long.
Yep. It's super fun. Don't miss out. There's not much football left. So join in on the fun and win some dough on the side. So
yeah, it's super easy. I said, I've already won a few bucks off of there. Not a whole bunch, but I've only played a couple games. And I'm on the free subscription, so just go check it out. Hit the link in the description. With that said, I think we're going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. It was a pleasure as always. If you guys could do me one last favor, just type in the comment section, #legendary, because you guys are absolutely legendary. I love each and every single one of y'all for being here each and every single week. You guys are amazing. Let's see. All right, guys. With that, we're out of here. And as always, stay legendary. What's going on, guys?